In this part 1 series of the do-it-yourself home web server using Ubuntu desktop, we are going to learn how to install and configure Apache. And therefore we are going to use the terminal to install the Apache web server. Make sure your terminal is open. As you can see here, I've got my terminal. And I will type sudo to access the administrator or root privileges. apt install Apache 2. There are so many versions of the Apache, and Apache 2 is the latest one, and therefore I will press enter. Then I will supply my password. So it's reading the dependencies and the packages, and therefore it tells me if I am sure I want to continue installing. I will type Y to say yes and press enter, and therefore it will access the Apache web server online and will try to install it. So this will not take so much of your time, so you need to be patient. So right now it is at 57%. So right now it's finished and it's installing, and therefore it is done installing our web server, that is Apache. And we want to make some few configuration in the 00.default config file for Apache. But before we do that, we need to check our IP address. So I will use if config and I will press enter, and as I can see here, my IP address is 192.168.0.33. so that is my IP address, and I will configure Apache to be able to be accessed using that IP address. So Apache is stored in the etc file in a folder named Apache 2. I will press enter, and when I list the contents of the folder, I can see here there is the sites.enabled. Here in the sites.enabled there is the default.conf file that we are going to make some changes into it. So I will change directory and I will say sites, sites-enabled, and there is the file, the default.conf file, and I will make some changes on that using my IP address that we saw above here, that is .33, and I will use v using the sudo privileges, v 000 default.config, and I'll press enter, and this is the file. And on top, before the virtual host, I will press on I to enter edit mode and press enter. Go up there and I will type server name space, and I will put the IP address 0.33. The port number is 80. So that is what we need to do, the changes that we needed to make on the default.conf file, and I will press escape to get out of edit mode, and I will type :W to write and Q to quit, and I will press on enter to save. So then I will have to restart my Apache. So I will use sudo, and I will say system ctl restart Apache 2, and therefore I'll press enter. It's going to take a while. Now it has already restarted. Now I want to take you into my Explorer here in the computer section. Here at the var folder, www HTML, this is where our Apache or the public files that are going to be accessed via the browser are going to be placed, and therefore I will open my browser so that I can be able to test the index.html to see that my browser is indeed working. So I will close that. So my browser has loaded, and therefore I will type 192.168.0.33 and press enter, and I should be able to access my Apache index page. This will make sure that our Apache server is right now working. As you can see, it works, and these are some few information about how to configure Apache. I can also be able to use localhost, as you can see, localhost, but this will only work on the machine that contains the Apache web server itself. But any computer or device accessing our Ubuntu or Apache web server will have to use the 192.168.33 or whatever IP address that the computer that is running the Apache web server will be having. Thank you.